Many of you are aware that a few weeks ago we had the loss of Dr. Wayne Dyer. Well, last Friday I received an email from Nick Ortner sending us a link of the tribute that Hay House had done for Dr. Dyer. As I was watching, Mr. Reed Tracy came on. But as he was speaking, something in me here, not in the mind, it wasn't words, something in me felt, oh, I'm going to meet you soon. Anita Morjani came on, and she was talking about how she's had this experience where she had terminal cancer and was in a coma for about 3 months, and then she came back and she's now cancer free. And she had written about her experience in a blog, and somebody had shown that blog to Dr. Dyer. Then he sent someone from Hay House and sent them on a chase to find her. Now, she'd written this blog under a pseudonym, so it took the people from Hay House 5 months to find her. What was amazing about this story is that the morning that she actually got the email that said that Wayne Dyer was looking for her, she had decided that she was ready to take her message to the world. When she said that, something in me just kind of sparked, and I felt so inspired, and I thought, yes, that is how things happen. As if by magic. You know, it's an orchestration of a sequence and choreography of happenings that converge at a certain point. And I thought how beautiful that story was. That evening I came home. I had fallen asleep and I woke up around 2 a.m. and I felt like it was time to go to bed, really like properly. And something in me said, well, I'm going to be a guide for the Master Key Experience that starts on Sunday, and I better get my stuff together. How can I guide people if I don't have my stuff up to date? So I decided to update my goals, what they call my definite major purpose. I worked on them, and when I was done, I was so pleased with myself. And I said, okay, now really time to go to bed. I looked at the clock and it was 4:14 a.m. I remembered that Reed Tracy had mentioned how important 3:13 was for Dr. Dyer. He would wake up at 3:13 and meditate. And I thought 4:14, well, that's the next step up. I went to bed and I thought, well, I can't set the alarm for 6 a.m. because that's really less than 2 hours sleep. So I figured I would allow myself to sleep in till 9 o'clock the next morning. And I connected to the energy of Dr. Dyer, and I actually talked to him and I said, I was sorry I didn't get to meet him in this lifetime, and would he guide me? Because I know I have a message to give, and I didn't know how to do it. At 7 o'clock in the morning, I woke up as if a lightning bolt had struck me. I opened my eyes and I was fully awake, and I had the need to just get up, get dressed, and I went out with my doggy Marmalade. And our routine is we walk outside the back door of our building, and we go towards the river, then we go across, and then we walk a little, and I sit by the water and I meditate. So I thought we were going to do this morning. And as we got to the corner, Marmalade made a sharp turn right, going around the block, instead of going across the street. So I figured, okay, I'm not going to cross at this corner because it's actually a really dangerous crossing. I'll cross over on 42nd Street, a street which is a safer place to cross. When we got to 42nd, she made a sharp turn to the right, heading towards our building. And instead of arguing with her or actually picking her up like I usually do and then going wherever I want to go, I decided that today was the day I was going to follow her and let her do whatever she wanted. As we got to the corner, we're at the opposite end of where we should be, which is now 11th Avenue. Out of the corner of my eyes, I see three guys walking past me, and I thought to myself, really, Hannah, you got to get some sleep because you are so delirious right now that you just imagined that Reed Tracy and Nick Ortner just walked past you. And from the back, I thought, man, that sure looks like Reed Tracy and Nick Ortner. I picked Marmalade up and I started running behind them. But I wanted to make sure it was them because how weird would it be to have somebody like stop you and it's like, are you Reed Tracy? And there's like, no, who is that? And I felt kind of weird. So I started zigzagging, which was even crazier because I started zigzagging behind them, kind of looking over their shoulder. And I would look at Nick and this guy and I'm like, that looks like Nick. And then I went over and, yeah, that looks like Reed Tracy. And, you know, they know each other, so that's totally possible that it's them. And I kept going, zigzagging back and forth to the point that I thought, okay, I better do something because they're going to just turn around and they're going to have this crazy lunatic woman in their face. So I ran around and I kind of overtook them and stopped them, and I looked at Reed Tracy and I said, are you Reed Tracy? And he says, yes. And then I looked over and I said, and you're Nick Ortner, right? And he said, sure am. And I was just so overwhelmed. I was like, oh my God. And I couldn't even talk. I'm like this. I start like tearing up. And I was so overcome. And I just said, you know, I was watching the tribute for Dr. Dyer yesterday, and I felt, and I knew I was going to meet you, but I didn't know I was going to meet you this fast. And then I looked at Nick Ortner. I don't know how or why or where it came out of, but I just went like, and you, and I just pointed my index finger in his face, and I said, and you, I said, your video on tapping saved my life. And so I told them the story about how I stumbled upon his video and everything that happened after that. And it was a very emotional moment. All of us were kind of overwhelmed. And I noticed that as I was telling them this story, Nick was like really into it. Their friend was really into it, but Mr. Tracy was kind of just like looking at me. And I don't know if he was, you know, I kept thinking, oh, he must be thinking I'm this lunatic, you know, New Yorker or something. Because I said, you know, I saw you and I live back here and I can't believe it. And I was watching you and I knew, but just my mind is just going crazy. I was like, oh my God, miracles happen. And they do happen like that, the orchestration. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I was supposed to be in my mind at the same time. I'm like, I'm supposed to be at the river, but now I'm here and I'm seeing them. Now I'm talking to them. It was just surreal. Finally, Nick gives me a hug and he was so amazing and so nice. And we hugged and we said goodbye. And then I came home and I just, the entire day, I felt so loved by the universe. And I just said thank you to Wayne Dyer because I knew he was involved in all of this. I just knew he had a hand on this. And then on Monday, I sat down to write an email to Nick Ortner, telling him, you know, more of the story and how I actually this part that I'm telling you now of how I was supposed to be at the river and blah, blah, blah. And it was now Monday overnight. And it was 2 a.m. when I finished writing this email. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to just send it in the morning. And at 6:30, I get woken up again on Tuesday morning, knowing that there's an important email in my inbox. And I'm thinking it's from work, so I check my work email and nothing's there. And then I just, I'm already there, so I check Gmail and I see that there's an email from Nick Ortner and a blog post talking about Saturday morning, which is when we met, and I knew he'd written about this experience. So I'm going to actually post, and I'm going to try to put on the screen the address for his blog, because this video is interactive. You must go and read his blog post because it was amazing. So go look at that blog post and come back.